Hey everyone, Steven TheSalonGuy here, and today I'm going to be doing a live haircut demonstration. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and I did a poll recently showing that a lot of you want to see me starting to do haircuts again, so here we go. Now, I'm going to be doing just a variety of haircuts. If you pick something up from this, that's great. No specific haircut in mind. Sometimes I'm just going to freestyle it, sometimes I will have something, but if you're new here, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are a professional in the salon industry or a barber, hopefully you'll get some value from this. If you are a client or somebody watching, I'm sure you get some value as well. If you're trying to cut hair on someone in your household, on your own hair, you know, a friend, maybe some things to pick up on when you're going in to get your hair cut. So I'm ready to go, let's do it. The first thing is I'm using this. This is a hair cutting comb. I do sell this hair cutting comb on my website, shop.thesalonguy.com, and these are my shears, my custom-made shears that I used. They are available on my website. I wanted to have them at a very reasonable price, and they still have good quality. Nothing outrageously expensive compared to other shears out there. They do the job. This is what I use, and I'm ready to go. So the comb and the shears. Now, the first thing that I usually do when I'm cutting hair is I will set up the haircut based off of the shape I'm trying to cut. Even before that, I need to prep the hair. So the hair is prepped, I washed it, and now I'm going to spray 25 spray in. I recently, once again, updated the fragrance on it to make it not so cologne-y, like strong cologne. So right now it's got more of a neutral, more floral type scent like the original one did. Hopefully you all will like it. It's got a very, very pleasant smell to it, very, very nice. And I hope that you guys will enjoy it. I just got a lot of comments that the previous one was a little too over the top of a cologne type fragrance. I mean, I guess I can see that. Anyway, I have made some tweaks to the fragrance. So I spray 25 spray in, because this is a great detangler. It's a great moisturizer as the hair is being cut or being combed. It helps really keep that moisture in the hair so it doesn't dry out as quickly. Now, I'm gonna create something where it's got a shorter side here, nothing too over the top short. I am gonna go around the ears, and what I wanna do is just create like a haircut that has a nice flow to it and some volume on top. So I am gonna get rid of a lot of this length. What I like to do is basically just separate the hair into 4 panels, and it's what we call, just the map of the haircut. I like to map the haircut out to make sure that I know what I'm doing, and I like to see where I'm doing it. So what I do is I section the hair into kind of 4 panels, and I just part the hair, as close down to the middle as I possibly can. This mannequin head it's a bit on the higher side because I'm not the tallest in the world. I'm not super short, but I'm not the tallest, so I can't see everything way up here. So I'm just separating the front and the back. It's what we call the division point. And literally it's just moving this hair out of the way so you know that this is the front of the head and this is the back of the head, okay? It's something I've been doing for many, many years. I don't need 18 clips in the hair. I see a lot of people posting videos and it looks really nice. It's like a masterpiece, but I don't want to spend 45 minutes putting clips in the hair, okay? And if you're a stylist working behind the chair or barber or whatever, you want to be efficient with your time. You know what I mean? Like I see people going like this for 30 seconds, taking one section, okay, and then going in, doing it. I mean, like that's cool. But I don't work that way, all right? I'm gonna cut hair here like how I cut hair normally, and that's it. All right, now what do? Is I start to kind of map out the back of the head. How short do I wanna go? What kind of shape do I want? I start to really play all these things in my head, and then I will make my decision and I will start. If the hair is really long, sometimes I'll start in the back right here, and other times I'll start right in the corners. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to start in the corner. My first section is going to be right here. It doesn't have to always be that way. Could be a little bit different depending on what you're trying to achieve here. But I'm going to start my haircut right there. Now I'll try to get all the camera angles as best I can. I'm holding the hair probably about a finger length from the scalp. So I'm just pulling everything straight out. That's it, straight out from the head. And I'm going to continue this as my guide for the entire back of the head. Excuse me, I'm so sorry with the throat clearing. So there's my guide. And now I'm just pulling everything to that one point, right in through here, okay? There we go. Now the reason I'm standing like this, I don't want to block the camera in any way. All right, that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want the elbows, you can see here. So now I'm going to be cutting downwards, and this is called palm to palm cutting. All right, I'm cutting palm to palm, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just allowing my hands to get a bit closer to this scalp this way. So that's where I'm getting that finger's length opportunity to cut the hair, and it's going to be consistent throughout because I'm doing everything finger length. I always go back in and do this towards the end. You can do this now if you want to just clean up that line right there on the bottom. You can clean that up just like this and then go back in and reshape that if you want. But now what I'm trying to do is just really get this haircut underway and create the shape. Ideally, like the base is what your foundation is. That's what the length is, okay? The length of the hair and how you layer it and how you shape it and all that, that's the foundation. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm just moving this hair out of the way, push it out of the way nicely, just like that, and there's no need for 19 clips in the hair. I'm also using the wide teeth to comb the hair, and then I'm using the fine teeth when I'm about to cut it, okay? So the wide teeth to comb it and the fine teeth of the comb to cut it, because that's gonna give me a much more precise cut, in my opinion. The wide teeth is great, especially on someone who's got longer hair, all right? That it does work wonders. However, for me, when I'm looking for a more precise haircut and I wanna be more accurate, then I'm gonna go ahead and use the fine teeth. Now, you don't want to go too high in through this area, all right? Meaning like I probably went too high as far as my hands. So what I like to do is actually when I get to a point, I'm going to switch my hand position so that I'm not like going way up here this way. And that could cause some inconsistencies in the haircut. So I try to stay very, very consistent throughout the haircut because inconsistency causes uneven haircuts, in my opinion. Once the haircut is uneven, then you become uneven Steven, and we don't want that. We want even Steven, okay? So then what I'll do is I'll just go in and I'll check, I'll see how things are looking. You know, there's a lot of work still to do on this haircut. And I'm one of those individuals who I will go back over and over and over and keep checking and keep working until it's absolutely perfect. You know, even like here, you can see the minute I change my body position or my hand positioning, you may find things that are a little bit longer and need to be cut. So I don't want to go in this palm to palm cutting position until I get, I don't want to go beyond this because then I put myself in a very awkward position and I'm reaching and I actually may end up cutting this too short because my hand is traveling upwards this way and I don't want that. I want to create a rounded shape around here to maintain maximum volume, all right? So I'm going to just kind of like push this out of the way here and we're not gonna go, you know, any higher than say this area. And if you wanna clip this out of the way, you can, but I don't wanna go like above this area and through here because then I'm gonna change my hand positioning and it's gonna become a little bit like harder to reach, all right? So now what I'm going to do, I'll just turn this way. Again, I'll try to keep this going so you can all see as best as I possibly can. I'm gonna comb with the wide, right? And cut with the fine side. All right, again, there's that finger length right there. I'm combing this straight out from the head, and really all we're trying to do is just create like a nice length, nice length in the back of the head without it being too short, without it being too long. I'm not using any clippers or anything. I'm literally just cutting this to create a nice length. I think this is a really nice length because this allows you to have some sort of styling capabilities without it being too short, all right? If you are doing this stuff at home, it's kind of essential that you really take your time with this and try to follow this step by step, because you know, you can't learn how to cut hair in a 40-minute video. I mean, you can, but this has taken me 20 something years to kind of, I won't say master, but to improve my skills on, And if you're becoming a hair cutting expert in 20 minutes, that's awesome, but it's just not so easy. So don't be so rough on yourself. This is something that we go to school for. This is something that we're always trying to improve on our education to get better, to perform better services for everybody. So this is something that it's not as easy as, oh, just go in the kitchen and we'll start cutting hair. It's a lot more complex. And I mean, there's even professionals that aren't even doing a good job. So a lot of the way I cut hair is all by going into like the flow of the direction of way the hair grows, all right? The direction of the hair really plays an important part in how the haircut is going to fall, how it's going to lay, the whole shape. There's a lot that goes into that, because if the hair, say it grows like downwards and you're cutting it too short and you want the hair to go back, it's not going to go back because it's not going to be long enough, right? Because it's growing down and you're cutting it too short. If you cut the hair too short, then basically you're in a pinch. you basically just destroyed the whole thing, all right? Once you're done with that and you cut it too short, sometimes you start having to pray to the hair gods, all right? You say, oh no, I just screwed that whole thing up. So now what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up the base right into here, which again, you can always go back and fix. But what I'm trying to do is just establish a nice length throughout the back of the head. And as you can see, I stopped around right here. So yes, there's gonna be some weight because I have to blend it into the roundness of the head. But for the most part, what I've done is I've really just gone in and created and established my foundation. All right, and this is really important because this is kind of the length that dictates the entire rest of the haircut, because you're now working everything into this back shape. So when you're cutting hair, doesn't matter what you're doing, the areas you're working on are going to really play a huge part into the rest of the haircut. And then, what I like to do sometimes is just do a nice little scissor over comb, nothing too crazy. Again, I'm doing this really to check horizontally for balance. I'm not looking to do like super short hair. I'm just looking to check for balance here. And sometimes just doing light, simple over a scissor over comb just gives me a good understanding of what the hair is doing, if there's any pieces that maybe need to be trimmed down a little more than others, and so on. So again, this is not for going super short. It's just for checking balance, because if you are cutting the hair this way and you see a bunch of hairs that are sticking out much longer than all the other ones, then chances are, something went wrong somewhere that you have to go back in and then retrim and recut everything because it wasn't balanced properly, all right? So as you can see into here, I'm just working up until this one area, and this is all done by hand, no clippers, no nothing. It's all done by hand, and we've got ourselves a nice shape. So now what am I going to do? How do we connect this part of the haircut, the occipital bone, right into here? If you have somebody, or if you yourself have very a flat back of the head, then this is going to work out great for you. If just in general, when it comes to just standard hair cutting, I always like to follow just the round of the head, just follow the head shape. That's what I like to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's move this here so you can see a bit more. I'm just gonna comb this straight out like this. There is my guide right there. And just be careful that you don't take too much hair so that you can see the guide. And I'm just gonna cut straight up like this. And I'm following the head shape, right? And as we follow the head shape up the head, what's gonna happen is you're gonna start to see that there is weight being built right into this area up here. But as we follow upwards, then all that weight will be removed. The reason I suggest doing this and I cut like this is because it's the easiest way to not put yourself in an awkward position, all right? Like myself right now, and you can do this with the chair, you can just lower the client, right? What I'm doing is I'm just putting myself in a position that I'm not throwing my arms over, cutting palm to palm. That's down here. Now I just flip it around and I put my body in a more comfortable position. Very, very important when you're cutting hair. You need your body to be in a very comfortable, static position so you're not making it hard on yourself, okay? So what we're doing now is, again, we're connecting. We're simply connecting this into this. And there's a lot of phases that go into this. So right now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna go palm to palm right in this area, right in through here, because chances are there may be an area that I need to connect this way into the bottom that we cut before. And this just literally gives me like a better perspective on how this is flowing into each other. Hair cutting to me is all about the flow. You want to have a nice even flow throughout the entire haircut, all right? You don't want to have things that are unbalanced. You don't want to have things that are totally off. And right there is a tricky part, because if I can't see the guide, then I gotta recomb this. The hair was too thick. I couldn't see the guide. So let's push this all out of the way, and let's take a section right here. So then there it is. There's the guide underneath, which is very, very important to see. If you cannot see that guide, then just take a smaller or a less dense section. The guide is really the roadmap to the entire haircut, okay? It's the roadmap that you need to follow. It's the roadmap that you need to follow for the entire haircut. Because if you don't, then you're gonna get lost in the haircut, and the next thing you know, you're gonna have a lot of issues, and it's not gonna work out too well, all right? So here we go. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to switch around the comb, and I'm now gonna start to cut following different patterns. Excuse me, this is something that I like to do myself, simply because this allows me to see how the hair is reacting from a number of different angles, all right? I get to see how the hair is bouncing around. I get to see how it's, laying, how it's flowing, all of these things. I'll comb it 19 different ways, make sure it's blended 26 different ways. I'm gonna be as thorough as I possibly can to make sure that this haircut is doing exactly what I want it to do. All right, just be very, very careful that you do not start to cut different types of things into the shape that you've already been working on. All right, for example, if I've been cutting this whole haircut with a nice flow and all of a sudden I just go in and just hack a line right in the middle of it, well, that's not gonna work out too well. That's just gonna create a disaster in the haircut that we've been working on, all right? And I'm also cutting wet to dry. I really enjoy cutting the hair wet and to dry because as the hair is drying, it's really giving me a good perspective and showing me what needs to be done. This way, I'm seeing how the hair is forming as it's drying, all right? So now, I'm just finishing and retouching and going in and making sure that everything is flowing properly, AKA putting the icing on the cake back here. And now I want to work into the sides, all right? The sides, because the sides are very, very important, just like anything else in the haircut. It's all very important. But here is where the magic is going to happen. So a few ways you can go about doing this. The first thing I like to do sometimes, especially with longer hair like this, is I'll actually just go in this way and cut around the ear like this. And you can see I'm letting all the hair fall into this one area right here. There. All the hair is falling right into that one area. And guess what? We just cut that whole section in one shot. So let's comb this back. And now what I'm gonna do, and obviously you have to be careful that you don't cut the ear, but now I basically did this whole thing together. Let's do the sideburn. I like to just square that sideburn up nice and sharp right there, just like that. Now I'll start to comb this back and really refine this area right in through here. I haven't even used my hands yet. I'm just literally going in and just kind of using the comb as a finger to push down. Now you do have to be very, very careful in this area because you don't want to cut the ear or anything like that. But we're off to a good start. This little piece and then through here, we can just cut that off in 2 minutes. So now for the sides, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of go back in and check for the finger's length that we had before. But I'm just going to overextend a little bit in the front area right in through here because the finger length was way down and through here. The length of like pulling it out and holding it like that. Here, I want to have a little more length because we're working this into the front here. You have to be very strategic when you're doing this simply because if you cut this all too short and you don't, and I've seen this on loads and loads of videos, people they think they know how to cut hair and they just start cutting and cutting and they cut this so short into here without really understanding that that is going to affect the flow of the entire haircut. All right, the flow, the connection is the most important thing. Everything has to be in sync, and if you throw one part of it off, then that's going to be kind of a disaster. All right, so you have to make sure that when you're cutting, you have to have this all in sync. All right, has to all be in sync. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going in here and getting these little hairs that would be like kind of behind the ear so that they're not too long and through here. And this is just kind of the cleanup stuff that you could do at any point. I like to do it like when I see it. And unfortunately, these ears on these mannequin heads don't move. So I'll try my best to clear this up as best as I can. So yeah, let's just get this little piece here. And right now, again, it's all about just refining and making sure that you have a vision of what the hair is going to do. So as we can see, this is still a bit damp. This is drying out, all right? The fact that that's drying out tells us like, okay, this is all working into its own shape. And now we're gonna be able to see what's gonna happen as this dries. Let's do a little scissor over comb. Right through here, I'm just gonna lift this up ever so slightly and we're gonna work this upwards. Now, again, we're going horizontal. This is going to showcase any hair that may need any refining, that may need to be cut a bit shorter, but it's showing us the balance. Remember, as I mentioned before, this is the round of the head, right? So the fullness needs to match up. You don't want to have it super, flat and short here, and then all of a sudden, it's like way out here, right? It's all got to work into each other. So now let's bring this part down, and this all depends on how you want to wear your hairstyle. As I mentioned, I want to have something that's kind of like going back a little bit, something a little bit more edgy, all right? And this is obviously much longer, but here's where you can decide. Do you want to have like some sort of undercut, some sort of overflow? We're going to leave that because this is technically the corners and the top. We haven't done that yet. Let's go to this side because we still have this side to do. All right, so let's lock this mannequin head in. I'm going to work off of the area right into here, the recession line, or the hairline starts to kind of separate and go this way. Again, you can clip it. You don't have to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb all this back, get this hair out of the way. Now I'm going to come from underneath this way, and here's where we start to cut right around the ear area. The hair's dropping. I'm letting the hair drop, and I'm just literally working my comb while I'm letting the hair fall into place this way, all right? And we're actually just getting rid of a whole bunch of hair like so, just like we did on the other side. Let's bring this back over here again. There it is. And we're gonna keep cutting and cutting and cutting until a lot of this hair just falls into place, and we can move on from this front area right through here. So let's comb this back this way. Right now I'm gonna go in again and do that sharp sideburn right into here. There we go. And now, let's see here. We have this to work into. I'm gonna take this back. I'm gonna comb this straight up like this, and we're gonna cut. All right, same thing on this side. Let's take this one piece in through here. Let's cut this, get all this hair out of the way, and let's comb. So you wanna always be combing, always be cutting. Here's the length, like I mentioned, that we left right through here, so a little bit longer than a finger's length. We're leaving this area just slightly longer in through here, but let's comb this back, and now let's start to kind of work this in around the ear area, right in through here. This is all the hair that comes like behind the ear that you can cut. You can do it in one shot, you can do it in 2 shots, but either way, we got to get rid of it. Again, this ear is not very, very flexible, so we got to just kind of work our best through here. All right, there we go. So we can bring this, sometimes you bring all this forward, you can see how the hair just wants to bunch up and jump out. So here's a great little tip to just, the more you comb the hair in all different areas, that's when you're gonna see all the hair jumping out in different directions, all right? So now, once again, let's comb this straight up, out from the head this way, and we're just gonna check for some balance. Again, we're not doing this to cut the hair super, super short. We're just doing this to check to see what needs to be cleaned up, what needs to be worked on, and we're looking to see how the hair is flowing, and I think we're off to a good start right in through here. Again, any little pieces like this, you can just snip away. All right, this is gonna be obviously more wet than this, so now we can brush this hair back and we can start to see how the shape is taking form. If you need to go back in, you want this a little bit tighter in the sideburn area, then go for it. There's no problem with doing that. We're good to go. All right, so now that we're done with this, all right, what I wanna do is connect the top or the back into the top. So let's push this all aside this way. Now we're gonna work on the top. So there's the top, the corners, and the sides. So this is how you're gonna get rid of that weight line that you were just seeing before. Let's comb all this straight up. All this short hair, we've already cut this. Don't worry about this. But this is gonna help you remove that weight line. Now, this is where it all depends on if you want to wear your hair longer on the top or shorter, but I'm gonna have a little bit of length to it on top, just slightly, so that I can have some styling options to it. And this is a fairly kind of standard men's haircut, to be honest with you. Nothing too crazy, but I still wanna make it so it has some sort of cool style to it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow the head shape going forward, and I'm gonna leave the top slightly longer because I do want to have a little bit of length throughout the top here. And notice that I'm just working in the top perimeter in here. I'm not going in the corners yet. I'm just literally working right in the middle of the head and working my way forward, okay? I'm working my way forward to the front where that is going to be left the longest. So I'm gonna drop this mannequin head down a little bit here. Let's back this up here so you can see. Now I'm gonna work horizontally. The reason I connected this way, or I should say this way, this is the back of the head. The reason I blended everything going towards was because I have a much better angle creating a rounded shape as opposed to just trying to bring this straight up and creating a harsh line. I'm following the head shape. Now that we have all this blended in, I don't have to worry. I can leave the past behind now and work my way forward. So I'm just gonna literally create horizontal sections and just cut it straight across. So here we go. Let's just take a nice section working from the back to the front. Here is the length. Make sure that you are balanced when you're cutting. See my elbow is nice and balanced. And all I'm doing is I'm working my way right down the middle. I'm not cutting into the sides or the corners yet. I'm just keeping it very, very simple and structured, because the minute I start to deter from where I'm cutting, that is when problems start to happen. All right, so I really want to keep very, very structured on this, because this technically is the top of the head. All right, let's get that elbow up. Again, I'm just trying to make sure I get this all right with the bright lights and making sure this is all very, very good. Now I'm going to start to over direct slightly right in through here. So I'm over directing, and I'm just lightly pulling back ever so slightly, because again, I want to leave it a little bit longer in the front. You got to watch that left elbow, that you're not dipping down like this when you're cutting. Keep that elbow very, very structured and stable. So here is the money piece right here. This is the front piece, the money piece. This is the one that, you know, this can make or break the whole haircut. But as you can see, the way we've been cutting this, we're not going to have a lot of hair to cut, because we've been blending it also properly. All right, so that's the top. Well, guess what? We have all this hair. What the heck is this? Look at all this hair we have to cut into here. This is the corners. How do we cut the corner? Well, simple. We cut the corner by cutting it on the corner. The corner is the round of the head right in through here. And there we go. We're gonna comb all this straight out. Now I like to connect this into the sides like that. I know you're probably saying, oh, he's wearing black again and cutting a mannequin that has black hair. I know, I apologize. So there it is. Here's the corner. Notice how I'm pointing my elbow upwards this way. I'm gonna hold on to that, and now I'm gonna comb this straight out, and I'm going to connect these two. All right, I'm gonna connect that section. There we go, working towards the front. And I like to switch to using the wide teeth towards the front, just because it helps give it a little bit of a softer line, in my opinion. There's the corner, which we're leaving kind of a little bit of the corner. I'm not cutting it square. I am cutting it a bit round, but I'm leaving a little bit of this corner so it has a much nicer flow to it. All right, and now we have a perfectly blended haircut that we have the front longer right in through here, as you can see. Now let's do the other side, all right? The other side, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna stand in the same spot. I'm gonna push this hair out of the way that I don't need. Let's comb this out from the head. You can see the corner right there. And now I'm going to extend this downwards this way to connect this and merge the two areas together. There we go. You can see your guide from before. Let's comb this straight down like this. Now we're going into the corners and the sides. We're connecting all this together, and there it is. When you get to the very, very front, just make sure, again, make sure that you are, you're not cutting too much hair. Make sure that you have everything blended properly. Okay, there is that piece right there. Here's the area where we connect it. And there you go. So let's brush this all back. And you can see in through here, we've got a good connection also on this side, right? So now we're gonna comb all this hair straight down, and the hair, I know it's gonna look crazy, but the hair should come to a point like this. It should come to a point like this where the front is the very, very longest. If you see this, then you've done everything perfectly, all right? If you don't see that and everything's bunched up here, then you cut way too much hair. The reason the front is the longest like this is because we went shorter into longer this way. This is our money piece that's going to allow us to have that flow, right? I see way too many times where people end up cutting this way too short right into here, and it's like an undercut all the way up here, and this piece just hangs down. This is actually very difficult when you're cutting, but if you do it properly like this, you can see how everything flows in together. All right, now the last part of this haircut, and I really, really hope, I don't care if this video gets 10 views or if it gets, 20,000, 40,000, I hope it gets a ton of views. I just hope that someone gets value from this. This takes me a long time. I'm doing this all real time. And I really hope that, someone is getting some valuable information from this because of the effort I'm putting into this for free. All right, I do have my hair products, shop.thesalonguy.com. You can use code YouTube20 for any of my hair products, including the blow dryer that I have, which I'll be using, my comb, the scissors, all the styling products that I have. It's all available there, and YouTube20 gets you 20% off, which is an amazing deal, and it's free shipping on orders over $65 in the United States. So what am I doing now? Right now, I am literally just combing the hair straight up, and I am looking for, actually let's do this the other way, because it's better to go this way. I'm looking for pieces that are extremely unbalanced. If there are, you shouldn't find any, but what this is gonna do, and there's that longer piece right there, just slightly longer. I'm just gonna connect this because you want it to be longer, but you want it not to be heavy longer, okay? And all these little pieces of hair, if you find 2, 3 pieces of hair that are laying on top of that other section, it's just not gonna, it's gonna throw the whole thing off. And being that I'm like a Virgo perfectionist, this all has to be done just right. And I think we've done it. And now what I'm gonna do is just go and do some scissor over comb, like in the sideburn area down through here, and make it a little bit tighter. All right, not a whole bunch of additional work here. All right, here's where the magic happens. Now it's time for like the styling and all this stuff. Let's go a little bit closer here. This is where we can control what we're looking to do with this. So what I like to do, I'm not one of those guys who does a lot of point cutting, but I will, or like going nuts. So I'll just go in and do some light cutting this way. Yes, technically it's point cutting, but it's a lot more freehand cutting, and it's just removing some excess weight and some bulk like this. I'm doing a little bit of slide cutting in through here, and it's just adding some like added texture to the haircut, especially if it's just one big, you know, haircut with not a lot of movement or texture to it. This is really gonna make the haircut go a long way because of just doing those little movements right in through here. So let's see how the hair is flowing. Let's see which way it wants to go. Looks like it wants to go over this way a bit, like so. So this is the kind of haircut you can do a side part like this, right? You can push this down. Now you've got a side part haircut. You can do, you know, the kind of like classic curtains haircut like this, which I think a lot of people want, maybe. So let's style it like this. Let's style a kind of a light curtains blended haircut like this, and let's see how it turns out. So I'm gonna be using Tidal Wave, which is my #1 selling product. It's a lightweight sea salt volumizing spray. I'm just gonna spray a couple, maybe 4 or 5 spritzes onto the hair, and then I'm gonna blow dry it. Now the way I'm gonna blow dry this, I'm mostly just gonna use my hands as the tool itself. I'm gonna use my hands and I'm gonna blow dry it with my fingers. Sometimes that is the best styling tool you could get. So here we go. All right. So now the haircut is done. The styling is done for the most part, and it's up to you now how you want to actually finish this haircut off. So let's use our fingers and kind of rake what I like to do is rake the hair with my fingers, and let's just see how nicely this blends. So as you can see, when I run my fingers through this all blends very, very nicely, all right? It's a beautiful haircut, but watch this. See how the flow comes down right in through here? The flow just falls right into place. There's no corners that are cut super short. It all just works into this. This is a very, very difficult thing to accomplish. We were able to do it, thankfully. But there's the curtains, there's the pieces right there. Let's just spin this around slowly this way. All right, now let's do this side. Once again, you can see the flow to it. All right, let's brush this all back this way. And now let's push these pieces down in through here. And there it is. There's the curtains. Once again, there's the length that we left under there. And you can see this all just flows down like that, right? It's not heavy. It's not like, you know, it's not a disaster. It looks pretty good, in my opinion. And you can just style it like this. Now, this is the kind of haircut, in my opinion, where you just simply let the haircut do all the work. I wouldn't put any more product in this. This is the kind of look that you can run your fingers through it and kind of brush it back like this, and it should fall right into place. Or you can slick it all back if you want. This haircut is very versatile. You could do a ton with it, and it's something that, you know, obviously I would, if you want to go to a barber, that's fine. Just go to somebody who really is good at cutting men's hair, right? It's not so easy these days. Somebody who's really good with short hair, someone who understands how it works, right? And how everything should kind of flow into place. But if you want a quality haircut where it's, you're not going to be going in and someone's spending 15, 20 minutes on your hair, you know, this is something that I think is definitely important. You should try checking out a hairstylist. But again, find the right person that's right for you, and you should be in good shape. But anyway, let me know if you enjoyed this. I hope you did. These videos take a long time. If you want to see more haircut videos, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you're a professional. Let me know if you're a client. I'd like to just hear some great feedback. Hope you enjoyed it. Use code YouTube20, shop.thesalonguy.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.